Well, Bill, Kimberly, thank you so much for inviting me over. I want you to know that it's really a pleasure to just sit down and visit with you for a little bit and talk about the marketing of your property. Before I get started, I just want to ask a question. Are the only two that are on the deed, or is anyone else that's on the deed?
No,
it's just us.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I took the liberty, and I hope it's all right. I drove by day before yesterday and took a photograph of your property. And then I had this presentation manual made up that we could go through, and I hope it's all right if I put your picture right here on the front cover. Now, this is yours to keep, by the way.
Oh, great.
And on the binder here, it's addressed to you as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So thanks so much for you inviting me in. I'm just going to take a few minutes and go over this with you. There are 7 areas we're going to talk about. The first is talking about my level of commitment and hopefully that I can exceed your expectations. Next thing, I just want to talk a little bit about you, and then about your property after that. A little bit about me, a little bit about my company, then pricing, if that's okay.
Well, sure.
Yeah, and I know you probably want me to talk about pricing right up front, but if it's all right with you, I'd like to wait just a little bit to do that, because I'd like to have you have the whole picture when you make a decision on what you do with the pricing instead of maybe just a partial picture, if that's okay.
Well, I'm kind of worried about the Andersons down the street, that they're in foreclosure, and how is that going to affect our price?
Well, that's why we need to price it right and get it sold quickly so that does not have a real negative impact on you. And so we're going to do the best we can to show that that'll be all right. So let me just go ahead and get started then. Oh, the last thing I want to talk about is the results, and the results we hope to get on the sale of your property. But as we open the manual, you see that I have a full half page of your house.
It's really pretty.
And what I just want to talk about is whatever your expectations are, whether you market the property through me or through somebody else, I want you to say, gee, I hope that person not only meets but exceeds my expectations. And that's what I want to share with you. Now I just want to talk a little bit about you, your time frame, what you're hoping to gain out of the sale of the house, and things like that. By the way, how soon do you need to be on the property?
Couple of months.
3 months.
Yeah.
So you got a couple, 3 months. Right now it's
School
taking.
starts in the fall.
Okay. Well, it's taking about 45 to 60 days from the time we go into contract to the time it closes. I just want to let you know that that's how long it's taking the various mortgage companies or banks to process the loan app. It used to be very quick, as you remember a few years ago.
Right.
Maybe when you purchased, you could get into the property within a month.
days.
Yes, within a month. But now it's extended out beyond that because of the conditions that are occurring. So I just want to let you know that if that plays in with your timing, you may want to have it under contract sooner than later.
Well,
And there's some incentives we can use to do that. So I just want you to think about that as we go through the process. And also, we need to know a little bit about your priorities, and we're going to get to those in just a second. So instead of me talking, I'm going to now ask you to share some things with me, if you don't mind. And first of all, some of the qualities of your house that you have here, and the things that really brought it to your attention when you came, that'll help me to market the property. So what was it that attracted you to the property when you first drove up here, when you bought it? What before you made the contract, you drove up, and Kimberly, you may have said, this is it. Or it could have been after you got into the house and there was a particular room, or the way the rooms were laid out, or the architecture, or there's something that attracted you. So if it attracted you, it'll attract the other consumers that are out there. So let me just take a minute and let you share with me what was it you liked about the house when you first saw it. And Kimberly, I'll start with you, and then Bill.
Well, the landscaping is absolutely beautiful, and just in the neighborhood itself.
Really love the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Was there anything particular about the backyard that you liked? Was it because it was fenced in, or
No, it's very spacious.
very spacious
Yes,
backyard? Okay. Bill, what was it you liked?
I liked it because it faced west. I particularly like that. I like
That's
Sunset.
interesting.
the west-facing
Yeah.
backyard. I just enjoy the sunset.
Well, that's neat. That's wonderful. What was it about the interior of the house that you liked?
Oh, the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? What was it about the kitchen?
Oh, very spacious. Lots of cabinet space, counter space.
appliances.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make a couple of notes here, if you don't mind. I'm just going to reach over here and get my pad, and I'll just make a little note here. You mentioned lots of kitchen cabinets and spacious.
Counter space.
And the backyard faced west, is that what you said? Backyard faced west. You see what you're doing is you're helping me to write advertising that'll be attractive.
Oh, I see.
Instead of, we have a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house, it's lovely, come by and see it, it's real quaint, real cute. You've seen the ads. They try to minimize the cost of the ad as much as they can, right? So they don't put a lot in there. But just by visiting with you this short period of time, you've given me some wonderful thoughts on how to write the advertising so that it really draws the people to it.
Okay.
Is there, and in saying that, what else can you tell me about the property?
The family room, kitchen, the way they're tied together as a living space.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
when we have couples over, everybody's standing in the kitchen, and when you're preparing the meals, you can do that because of the counter emptying out onto the family room.
So it's a great place to entertain.
Oh, sure.
Super. So it's a wonderful home to entertain in. Let me be sure I've covered everything here. I'm going to have to get my glasses out and see that I've covered everything on this page. Did you do any upgrades to the property?
I don't. The kitchen was done.
Done?
Yeah.
You know, and
Is it granite or is it?
Granite.
It is. Okay, granite countertops. All right.
and we did expand the patio in the backyard.
Okay.
And it's, I guess the carpeting still it's still new.
Yeah.
It was new when we got the house.
Great. Well, let's see. What were the top 3 reasons you purchased? We just covered that. What do you most like about the property? You shared that with me. And what do you like least? We haven't covered that. Is there any negatives that I need to be aware of so that maybe we can market around those?
No, I can't think of really.
There's not enough shelving in the garage for me.
All right, I got
But
you.
that's probably just a
I
personal.
I can get around that. Shelving in garage. I'll put a question mark by that.
But it's just, it's not there, and I wish it was.
Great, great. The next thing is as an executive, it is my promise and my obligation to focus on your priorities. So it's not really me. What I need to look at is things that are important to you. And if you just take a look at this list, if you could pick out 3 areas that are really the top priority for you. The first one is preparation, and there's broker qualifications. The next is communications, pricing. That'll probably be very important to you. Escrow, after-sale follow-up, current market conditions, time on the market, walk-away dollars, open houses, target marketing, marketing and advertising, internet exposure, and strategy and marketing. So, and merchandising. Is there any 3 or 4 of those that really stand out that really be of your highest priority?
Broker qualifications.
Okay, well that'd be me. I don't have to write that down.
Well, for me, are we going to get this thing sold?
Mm-hmm.
Given the economy, time on market.
Okay,
and
time on market's
market
important. Yeah.
money,
Okay, all right.
We don't want to give this away. We've been in
Definitely
it.
time on.
Unfortunately, we've been in it 4 years, and I want to be able to get out of it with what we have invested in the past.
Okay, what else? Those are just 2. Is there any other item that?
That's really it. For me.
Okay, well, great. I've made a note of that, and I'll keep that in mind as I begin to form the marketing plan. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about your buyer, not only how we find them, but how we influence them and get them to come to paper. So we'll just take a couple of minutes on this. One of the things you may or may not know, that the percentage of buyers who use the internet to help them search for property back in 2006, which is the latest data that we have from the National Association of Realtors, 80% of all buyers go on the internet first. And I was wondering, have you done any shopping on the internet
Sure.
for
Oh,
homes?
yeah.
I mean, have you just kind of gone
Yeah.
on and looked and seen what's
Sure.
out there and compared pricing and so on? Yeah. Well, that's 2006. This is 2009. That number is closer to 90%. Even though this is what we have documented, I think I can be comfortable in saying it's a much higher number than it used to be. Well, let me show the impact of that and what that does in the market of the property. As far as bringing buyers to you, if they come from the internet, what you'll find is interesting is here's a piece of pie and here's the breakout on how home buyers use the internet and then found the home they purchased. Still, even though they were using the internet, and it says here 29% of the reasons that they decided to purchase was through the internet, 35% was still a person like myself, a realtor. What they found out is, okay, I can go on the internet and take a look at a piece of property, but I don't know the neighborhood. I don't know if this one was picture perfect with the ones on either side, or you know what I'm talking about. They don't know the direction the neighborhood's heading. Is the neighborhood stabilized and youngsters are moving in and they're fixing their properties up and it's going on, or it's peaked and it's matured and maybe has a little downturn and whatnot. So that's why the folks are using realtors.
Well,
but go ahead.
We've always believed that you hire a professional for a professional result. That's my profession, and I wouldn't dream to do this without a realtor.
Well, it's interesting. You notice these are the folks that didn't use the internet. 36% of them use a realtor too. That's one of their top reasons. And the internet is very small because they didn't use it. But the next item is yard signs. Is that 15% are attracted because of the yard sign and 16% on the other side. So what you're looking at is the internet, the individual, myself, and the yard sign make the highest percentage collection of any reason anybody is in the market looking for property, which I think is kind of interesting.
Well, are you going to just put a yard sign out there? And
No, it's going to be a lot more than that, and I want to talk a little bit about that too. Let's go back and take a look at 2002. As we look at 2002, people back then used to drive the neighborhoods first, all right, and then next they check the newspapers out to see what was on the market, and then they go to the internet. It was number 3, and then they check with friends, and then they go look for yard signs. Guess what happened in 2006? The internet moved to the top. They first search the internet, and then they do what? If they're local, they'll drive around. If they're out of town, then they have to wait till they make contact and so on. But if they're local, they'll drive around and say, okay, I saw this one over here and this one over here. Let's go see what it looks like. So they drive out and take a look at it. The next then is they check with friends, and then yard signs. And the nice thing is newspaper print. What's interesting is print has moved from near the top to almost the bottom because of the internet.
We don't even take a newspaper.
No.
That's interesting.
No, we don't.
Now, you asked for a marketing plan. Here are the things that I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to commit to this. I've got 35 different areas here of items that I'm going to do. And these are in print. I guarantee that I will do every one of these. And, of course, I'm leaving this book with you, and later on, if you want to look at these, you certainly can. If there's a particular question about any one of them, I want you to give me a call.
You're going to put it in writing that you're going to do all that?
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm going to sign a commitment to you before I'm through. So I just want you to see this. These are the marketing steps. There's 35 of them. Instead of wasting your time, because I know you want to get to the pricing part, what I wanted to do was just show that I will do these. And
you're going to leave this?
Yes, this is yours to keep. Now, the reason that this is important is that you may be, well, let me ask you this question. Are you asking anybody else other than me to come in and chit-chat with you about the marketing property?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, be sure that you ask them how many steps they have. And you'd like to see them in writing. All right?
Or will they sign it? Yeah.
Well, just, as a matter of fact, if we get through, if you feel very comfortable about me and you've already made the appointment and you prefer to work with me, but you made the obligation to ask them to come out, I'd be more than happy to make the call and tell them that they've already decided to work through me instead of asking another person to come in. So if you feel awkward about that, I'd be happy to make that call. If you're happy and you'd like to hire me to market your property. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is my marketing plan reaches and attracts potential buyers all over the city, the state, and around the world. And this is where I really get into the marketing plan. And I'm on not only on the internet, and I'm on it in very, very many different ways, but I also use other means for marketing. And so what I'd like to do is review those things with you. There are many, many companies that service, and here in the Orlando area, we have 4 offices right here, or 5 offices right here in the immediate Orlando area that serve. And so it's not only my office that can expose your property, but they'll also have agents that will want to take a look at the property too, because we have that great depth here. But our national campaign for advertising, you can see the number of viewerships that we've had, not only through print, but also through television. And the biggest one here is the online, the internet. You'll see that we've had over 328 million impressions that have been made through the internet. It's interesting that there's over 3 billion impressions that are made through all the different advertising that are done. Now, also we're globally tied in, which means what's wonderful is as I put you up on the different internet sites that I have listed, and I have over a dozen of them that I put you on, anyone in the world can take a look at your property by me doing that. Okay. But in addition to that, we also have our brand in all these other countries. We're in Canada and Greece and Belize and Israel and Australia, France, Costa Rica, and so on. We're in all these different countries. And that helps to expose it too, because they would prefer to stay in the brand. So if they have someone that's interested in purchasing in the United States, they will seek us first before going anywhere else. Now, technology is very important, and staying in touch with the consumer is very important. And the reason I want to mention that is if someone emails me a message, I immediately get it on my telephone. So I can get back to them right away about that. That's very important. In addition to that, the state of the art is now moving to instant communications. And so every item that's out there that's available to maintain instant communications, I'm involved in that in every way that I possibly can. All right, not only through the internet, through websites, text messaging, email, mobile phones, and PDAs, but just any way possible that's available.
So if someone sees the yard sign and calls you,
Oh, I pick up immediately because my cell phone is on the yard sign.
okay.
So it doesn't go through the
okay.
office.
Okay.
All right. Now, there's some companies that require that the call go through the office because they have new and experienced people that are working for them, and they want to have that new and experienced person have a chance of having a transaction. I don't believe that's fair for the consumer. I believe that if you decide to let me market the property, that when the call comes in, it needs to come to the person that's most intimate with the property, and that would be me. All right. Not going through some secretary or some receptionist that then is going to give it to the floor person who may be brand new, right out of licensing school, trying to figure out what's going on, is going to be making the contact with that particular buyer, and end up maybe not saying the right things or doing the right things or acting the right way, and ends up losing that potential buyer that we have. That's why my cell phone is on the sign so that I get the call, and so when that buyer call comes in, I can tell them all about the particular property.
Okay. Well,
These-
that's what I want.
Okay.
I want a professional handling it.
Oh, yeah.
These are just a few of the websites that I'm tied in with. We're tied in, of course, with Realty Executives International. We're tied in with a regional site, which is called Realty Executives Southern Region. We're also tied in with Realty Executives Ken Durkee, which is another site where I upload all my properties on that and also have explanations. But I think it's important that I be on also Realtor.com, which has the highest number of hits of any website out in the marketplace showing property.
That's where we go, when we were looking.
All right, so I'm on that, and I'm not only on that in the regular fashion with one picture and a write-up and description. I go ahead and pay the extra money to get 6 photos of your property.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I would like to do if you decide to hire me, and if you do that today, I brought my camera with me, and I would like to have you show me where in the property you'd like me to shoot the pictures. Remember, these are things that you thought were wonderful when you saw them, and I'm not that good of a photographer, so I'd just rather have you walk me around the house and show me, yes, shoot the master bedroom from here. This is where you get the best view of what's going on in the kitchen, looking across the countertops into the great room that you all have. And then, of course, even though you say you don't have enough shelving space, we'll take a good shot of the garage there.
At least
to show there's a workspace, and that
We
you
did
can bring
clean
your
it
stuff
up.
in
We did clean it
and
up.
so on. And then we'll be with Julia, and I'm identified with the logo on Julia, Yahoo, Google, and Zillow also. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is do a very professional brochure for you, and I happen to bring a copy of one of the properties that I marketed just recently, and I'd like to have you have this as a gift, and then I'll be doing this for you. See, the photographs that we take will be placed in this, and I'm going to order a number of these, and not only will I be leaving these with you, all right, on the kitchen table or wherever you want them, so whoever brings a buyer back can have one, but I'm going to be distributing these in the neighborhood. And I'm also going to be distributing these to my sphere of influence. Because I know of people that are well, you know what's nice about it? Have you ever gone in the neighborhood and you've seen those little flyers that are there?
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of bent over,
Yeah.
right? And they're what, black and white and not color?
Right.
You notice this is done on a 100-pound bond paper. And I don't know if you notice this or not, but it's got a gloss look to it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason, because it's got a UV coating on it to prevent it from fading. Right.
Oh, okay.
Also, by being 100 pound, what I'm going to do is get you a little tripod stand for the dining room table. And instead of just laying these flat,
You standing
I'm going to stick it up. And you
Right.
notice it'll stand up by just me holding my hand. It'll stand up. And I don't know if you notice the marbling that's in that, how attractive the marbling is. There's no one else
That's a nice piece.
in the marketplace that has a piece like this. It's very well done, very attractive. And by the way, if you have a floor plan of the property that I can digitize, I'd be happy to put the floor plan in. If you don't, that's perfectly all right.
I don't think
This
so.
last seller had that, and I went ahead and inserted that in there. But of course, if you don't have that, that's perfectly all right. We don't need that. Now, one of the things I would like to do, even though the house is very, very attractive, I think it's important that we stage the house for sale. So what I would like to do, if you hire me, is I'll get a pad out, and we're going to go from room to room to room, and we'll just talk about things that maybe we could do differently that are done right now to make the house more attractive. What I would like to do is see the house staged. Well, but I'd like to see the house staged as if it's new construction.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll look.
I don't
Yeah.
want yours to look like the one across the street that they didn't stage, or the one down here, the foreclosure especially. They're not going to stage that, right? So the people coming in, they're going to have to lowball the offer. I want the people, when they make the offer on your property, know that they're getting value for it. So I want yours to look different than the other properties around here. If that's okay, if I can do that.
Right.
But there's just a couple of pages here on staging hints. But I go beyond that. I want to get my yellow pad out, and I want to go room to room with you. And I want to check on things. And I just make a suggestion. Would you mind if we, for instance, maybe a room is a little cluttered with furniture? Would it be all right if we stored a piece or two? What that does is it gives the room a larger look. You
Sure.
know? And so if that's all right with you.
Yeah, we've been in model homes, and it looks nice.
It really does. So if that's all right with you, we'll go through that process?
Sure.
Okay. Now, just a little bit about me. I won't spend much time on me and all, but one of the things I do is I make commitments. And I'm not going to place your property in the multiple listing service, which we talked about, and put
You're
the yard
not?
sign. Oh, I am.
Oh.
I am not only going to do that, but I'm going to begin to market your property through the internet like we talked about, to my spheres of influence like I talked about, to the neighborhood like I talked about. One thing I didn't mention, though, is I'm going to also expose your home to all of the top agents that service this area.
Okay.
And the reason for that is the top agents have buyers that are thinking about purchasing in this area, and I want to be sure that they get that brochure and that they get a verbal explanation from me about the uniqueness of this property and the specialty of this property. So if they have a buyer and they're working with someone, they can then say, I wanted to take a buy at the Smith's house. I want to show the Smith's house. It's really one you need to see. It's not only priced just right, but it's in tip-top condition. It's something you wouldn't have to do anything to at all. It's in move-in condition. And I want to be able to stage it that particular way with those top agents in the marketplace. So in hiring me, you're also hiring, in a sense, the top agents in the marketplace along with me.
Do you have open houses where they come?
If you would like me to do that, I'd be happy to do that for you. That's one of the things I like to do. It's part of my marketing plan, but that's your call because it's your property. But I would encourage you to let me do that for you.
We want to get this sold, so
Quickly as possible.
We'll do that. As soon as we get the house staged then, we will do that. I don't want to begin the marketing until the staging is completed.
Understood.
It's unfair to you, and it's unfair. What if somebody who
They'll
has a
never
lot of
come back.
buyers?
They'll never
Right,
come
all right, you understand. Now, I'm going to call on a regular basis, at least once a week, to tell you what's going on. Even if nothing's happened, I will call you. I want you to know that I'm here to communicate with you the good side and the bad side, no matter what's going on.
Okay.
All right?
That's one of those 35 things?
That's one of the 35 things.
And it's in writing?
And yes, and I want you to know this, is that there's some folks out in the marketplace that don't do that. But I try to deliver a level of service. Remember I talked about exceeding your expectations? You may say, well, if he calls every other week or so, that'd be okay. No, and if you want me to call more often than that, I will call more often. You tell me how often you need contact from me, but I'll guarantee at least once a week.
Well,
Okay.
we're looking for a new realtor because we didn't have a stellar experience when we bought this house.
Okay, great. Showing the property, if need be, I'd be happy to be there when the property is shown. A lot of realtors, they just make arrangements to show the property themselves, and the person that has the agreement with the seller doesn't have to be there.
Okay.
With your property and your uniqueness, if it's your desire to have me present, I'd be happy to do that and be present when that property is
And
shown.
have us not present.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
want to have to get,
Yeah.
pigeonholed and suddenly have.
Now, I want to represent you and help you in the negotiations process. And I've been doing this for quite a while. I've been around real estate business for over 15 years, and so I can help you negotiate. And I don't know, have you ever purchased a car from a dealer?
Oh, yes.
Hate it.
Right. Wouldn't it be great to hire somebody to go in and do it for you?
I actually have.
Okay, well then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're looking for in me,
Absolutely.
is to keep you away from the buyer
Right.
and the buyer's agent that's out there working with them, and work through somebody that's in the middle. I don't care how hot you get, how upset you are with the buyer's office, how steamed you are.
That's right.
When I go in to talk to them, everything is fine.
Okay.
All right, so I want you to know that I'm going to be here to represent your best interest on the negotiation. And hopefully you'll be fully satisfied when we're through. Now, just a little bit about me, and I'd like to read to you my mission statement. And if you decide to have that other person come in, be sure that you ask them to give their mission statement also.
Very good.
Because it's important as a business, and I'm in a business. I'm a realtor in business. I believe it's important that you have a mission statement, a vision statement, and also that you have some guiding principles that you operate by because you're in business as a business person.
Well, we
Not
do
every-
with our company. It's
Not everybody,
just good business.
not everybody is in business as a business. All right? But let me just read mine to you. My mission is to provide a living for my family, save for the future, and financial security upon my retirement. I will adhere to my spiritual beliefs without compromise, and I will do what is right over what is expedient in all cases. My desire is to serve my customers by the most ethical and honest means possible. I will be a team player and attempt to contribute to the benefit and welfare of the people with whom I associate. I will do my utmost to elevate the profession of realtor above all other professions. I just want you to know, if you hire me, that this is my mission statement, and I operate from very professional, ethical standards.
Appreciate that.
Here's my personal guarantee, and this is the one I'm going to sign. All right? I've been dedicated to meeting the needs of my clients for the past 15 years. Real estate is my career. My clients are my passion. Without your continued satisfaction and support, I cannot sustain and flourish in the business. My mission, which you've read, is to facilitate the purchase and the sale of your house in a friendly, courteous, and professional manner. To achieve the goal, I have developed a strategic and comprehensive marketing plan that has been proven to deliver results. And I showed you 35 steps in my marketing plan. Right? I hereby promise to fulfill these obligations and requirements set out in my personal mission statement and marketing plan. And I'm going to send that for you. Now remember, you keep this.
Well, that's something.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see that.
No, you don't.
Now, let's turn on over here and talk a little bit about the company that I'm with, Realty Executives. It's very innovative. It's been around for a little over 40 years. Their idea is to market strategically, and not only local, regional, and national, but they're also global. The concept behind the Realty Executives concept is kind of like an upside-down triangle. We are broader, larger, thicker, heavier than your standard companies that are out there, and much more so than companies that provide limited service. And let me talk a little bit about the service excellence that we provide. We have 10 advantages, and I'll just list them for you here. Brand recognition is very strong. When people think of Realty Executives, they think realty means real estate, and executives means someone will do something to cut above. Peace of mind. Well, we hope that as I begin to market the property, you're at peace about me doing this. That you feel that, we've picked the right person that's going to do the right kind of job. Powerful marketing. We've just touched on a few of the things, but as we go through and I begin to go into depth and drill down a little bit on the various pieces and the things that we do, you'll see, wow, that really has depth to it. Knowledge. I hope you believe that I have the knowledge to market your property properly and professionally. That I might have more experience than the typical person that's out in the marketplace. That I deliver a level of personal service. I talked about phoning you once a week. Anything you need from me concerning the transaction, I'll provide it for you. Whatever you need, anything that will comfort you or provide for you. The strength in what I do, I think you'll see that the strength of what I do is stronger than those in the others. We talked about not only having experience, but having expertise, cutting edge of technology, and of course, the advantage of having strong results. This is a picture of our founder back when he founded the company in 1965. Dale has since passed away, but he was a wonderful man with a vision. And you can read a little bit about the company on that. Here's our brand promise, and I just want to read that to you. It says, in an industry where most companies focus on the average agent, Realty Executives is the company with the systems and tools designed for the productive real estate professional, enabling them to better serve the market and ensuring superior experience for you, our client. The difference is most of the others focus on the agent. Ours is designed to focus on you. All right, I just want you to know that's our brand promise. Now, my company always focuses on creating an environment for me to learn, to grow, and succeed, enabling me to provide you with superior customer experience. And they want me to be innovative and entrepreneurial, and that's one of the things I want to do. Some people look at the transaction and they're very consistent with the way they look at it. I'm going to do it this way every time. I'm going to be entrepreneurial in the marketing of the property. I'm going to look for every opportunity to expose the property and get as many buyers in here as possible to take a look at it. I hope to be a trusted and effective advocate for you. I hope that you sense that and feel that with just a little bit I've seen and shown to you. But I hope as we get to know each other more, as the process goes on, that you really see that, man, this guy really lives this. Uniquely in personal expertise and experience and connected and caring family. You see, we look at this as more than just a transaction. I hope that as this process goes on, that we develop a relationship that's not only professional, but also is relational as time goes on. Now, the underlying pillars of our brand define what is true. You'll notice that it's not the company name that's on the sign, it's my name. That's my phone number. You see, what we want to do is we want to maximize your equity. And I think that's one of your goals.
Sure.
We want to utilize a massive international network. We want to manage risk. We want to ensure trust. And we want to communicate effectively and efficiently for you. Now, one of the ways we do that is through our referral network. Because we not only have executives in the United States, but all over the world. If somebody is looking to for your property in the particular area, they can scan and find my name individually. And if you'd like, I brought my computer with you, and I can show you what they can see and hear about me. in a minute if you'd like to do that. In addition to a referral network that refers buyers into me, we also have a relocation network. There's one out of Phoenix where the home office is. There's another one in Knoxville, Tennessee. There's another one in Virginia Beach. And they have relocation organizations where they work directly with corporations. And those corporations transfer people to Orlando.
Okay.
And because they're part of the brand, if that corporate transferee is coming in this area, they'll be referring that to us. Same thing out of Phoenix, out of Knoxville, out of Virginia Beach, and other areas throughout the country. I just wanted to mention a couple of them for you. Now, here's where we're going to talk about pricing. Now, I've done a full market analysis for you, and let me share with you what this market analysis shows. Now, in looking at the market analysis that we have here,
Can you see?
can you see that right? What I did was I took other properties that have sold in this particular area. I went out about a mile in a full radius, and I looked at every property that's sold in the last 9 days. Now, the reason I did that is that I want to be sure that I've got proper pricing, what people are paying for today. Not what they paid for 90 days ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, but what they're actually paying today for the market. I want you to, when you make your decision on what you want to put it on the market for, I want you to be absolutely certain that you know what buyers are willing to pay.
Well, does this take into consideration what's sitting down the street unsold at a lower price?
Now, we're looking at what the buyer actually bought.
Okay.
We're looking at what the buyer actually paid cash for, okay? Now, we've got about 15 different properties here in that 1 mile radius that have closed that meet your requirements. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2-car garage with a place for the golf cart.
And this is all current?
This is all current stuff.
Okay.
Now, you notice the range in here is between $397,000 and $440,000. So we're looking at $397,000 to $440,000. That's the range of what they're willing to buy. Now, there's things on the market that are outside that price range, but they haven't sold. But for your square footage and the bathrooms that you have, I match that against the others that have closed in the marketplace. So that's the range we're going to look at as you begin to think about, all right, if that's the range, then do I want to go to the high side of the range? Do I want to go outside the range? Do I want to stay in that range?
Where do we go in that range to sell this thing?
That's what we want to look at.
Okay.
All right, that's what we're going to look at. That's what we're going to go through as we see it. Because it's very important that based on the amount of time you have to get out of the property, which is, you were talking 90 days, but a chunk of that is chewed up with trying to get the thing closed. So we're looking at a shorter window to get a contract, right?
Right.
And there'll be some graphing here that I want to talk about, but we'll get to that in just a second. We just want to know, down here, know the physical and material qualities of the marking and the value and the desirability of your house. We want to know the market conditions. It's one of the things you asked about. We want to evaluate your competition that's out in the marketplace that's against yours, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And so as we get into that process, I want to share this triangle with you here. If you put the house on the market for fair market value, that means it's in that range, all right?
Sure.
All right. Probably 95% of the buyers will look at it. 5% won't, because it could be, your house is a lovely home, but they're interested in a 2-story instead of 1-story.
Okay.
Or they want a...
Sure.
All right. It could be, or maybe they're looking for something that's on a cul-de-sac and the other house is on a through street. And so the things that kick properties out, even if you price it right, let's say you had the house appraised and you put the house on the market for appraised value. That's what the appraiser says that others are going for. If you put it on the market for that exact appraised value, you still wouldn't ever really look at it because it doesn't meet their needs.
Sure.
All right, so you already have some of the buyers that aren't there. But if you go up 5% over that range, well, then you knock out half your buyers. They disappear. So let's say there are 8 buyers in the marketplace. Right? Well, out of the 8 buyers, 7 will look at it. Okay. And that's because you priced it what? Right at market. All right? But you say, no, I'm going to, let's test the market and see, if we can get more money for it. And people like to do that. But today you really shouldn't do that. But let's say you decide to test it. Well, what happens to the buyers? Half of them are kicked out. They won't even look at it because they know there are other properties on the market that are at market value. Because that foreclosed house down the street that you're talking about, other people have to be very competitive in pricing their property. And so the buyer knows. Well, okay, that one appears to be overpriced because I've been on the internet, I've seen what pricing is.
It's not as nice as this house, obviously.
Well, of course not. It's going through some heartburn.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that you're trimming your buyers the higher the price goes up. Look what happens if you go up 10%. You've now cut out 70% of your buyers.
Wow.
You go up 15%, you've cut out 80% of your buyers.
Well, this means I can't come in below market and expect more people looking at this.
No, but you can expect the offer to come in quicker.
Open that below.
Think about this.
Okay.
You price it right at market, okay? And it's going along and people are looking at it, but they just can't make their mind up, right? But what if you price it a little bit below market, but the other house down here is at market? Okay, I see the value of the transaction I'm going to buy. So it causes urgency to buy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does.
Okay.
That answers that.
All right. So what happens if you overprice the house? What it causes is the days on the market to extend. All right. You're going to have the buyers come take a look at it in the beginning. See how the graph peaks in here after about the third week. You get the highest number of buyers looking at it, then begins to peel off. What we want to do is capture this group to say, yes, I want to really seriously think about making an offer.
They're not
And
coming
you
back, are they?
You want them to come back. And the way you get them to come back is to be sure the pricing is absolutely right. Because see this next graph over here on the next page? If the house is overpriced and it stays on the market, the longer it stays on the market, guess what the discount does?
Yeah.
You notice here the discount just starts out being 3%. It's not much at all in the first month. But as you go after the 6th month, it's a 15% drop in the price,
You mean what they're willing to pay?
what they're willing to pay.
Okay.
See, the property becomes stale. It's been on the market a while. Everybody, the realtors, the buyers, everybody's looking at the property and saying,
Well, how do you come up with this price?
well, that's what we're going to talk about. You said you need to get out in 30 days. The range is
Well,
397
you need to be
to
out
440.
90 days.
90
Yeah. Do you want to be within that range?
Well, sure.
All right. All right. You want to be within that range. All right. Then where do you want to be in that range based on your urgency to get out of the house?
As high
High.
as possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can do it a couple of ways. We can have it on the high end for the first 2 weeks.
Well,
But if we don't get the
No,
nibbles, we'll
I
need
think-
to bring it back in that middle part of the range.
Does that hurt us to go on the market too high and then
Not
they see
if,
us cutting the price?
not if we limit that to only 2 weeks of exposure. Remember this graph back here? What happened after about the 3rd week?
Then it starts
Yeah.
up down.
It really starts to come down, doesn't it? So what I don't want to do is hurt you. So we can test it if you want to just see on that higher price within that range. But if we don't get somebody really chomping at it, then I want you to consider bringing it back into a range so we don't lose momentum.
Well, Kim, I'm willing to sacrifice a few dollars just
Oh,
to get
sure.
it sold.
Yeah.
No, I
Just
don't
a little
want.
under the high
I
end.
don't want to miss an opportunity to sell it.
So in that range, where would you like to put it?
Well, what do you think it's worth?
Just
Well, it's worth between 397 and 440 based on the value that I have out there. I don't know exactly what it'll sell for, but I can give you the range.
Well, I guess we were kind of hoping you'd help us with that. Certainly, we're happy in that range, but I don't want to be stupid and say, well, then let's just pick the top number.
Well, that's why I'm giving you as much information as I can. You've seen the other homes now. One of the things I didn't show you on that competitive market analysis was over here is the days on the market it took it to sell.
Oh, okay.
All right, now this one you see it took 94 days to sell. This one was 135
Well,
days.
this one's a lot like our house.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And see how many days on the market it was? You see it was almost 75 days for it to go into contract.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they had to bring it back down to get it to the point where it triggered. The initial list price was much higher than this. This is what it actually sold for.
I see.
Okay, so that's why I'm showing this to you. Is if you're looking at really getting out of the property, we need to probably price it on the lower side of that range than possible. So,
Okay, if we put it at, 400,000, and we do price it at what, $399, or I mean, how does that work?
you can do that, or you can go slightly above that if you want to, and then break him back after 2 weeks. It's your call. I want to provide you every opportunity to maximize as much as you can, but I'm not going to ask you to put it on the market for some foolish number. And there's some agents that'll do that. Right? It's called buying the market. They'll say, "Oh, I can get you 450 for it," and all of a sudden, greed kicks in, and everything I've told you about the market, you glaze over, and you say, "I'm going for the 450." And the thing is that he can't get your 450 for it because no one's paid 450 for it.
Right.
Not in a mile radius around here. Within the last 90 days, nobody's done that. And so he's putting dollar signs in your eyes and getting you in a position. What are your monthly payments right now?
What, 23?
Yeah.
And your utilities run about $200-300.
Oh, sure.
All right, so you run about $2,600 a month. Well, what if you run out 5 or 6 months? You're talking about $10,000 more that you've had to put out of pocket. You're not going to get back because they got dollar signs in your eyes, right? I want you to be as realistic as possible. Now, I cannot tell you what the property sell for because I honestly don't know what the buyer's willing to pay for. But I know what trigger points are to get them to come in and get them to look. And I've shown you that range that we're looking at, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that range. And I think you're very smart And I'm not trying to convince you to go low, but I think you're very smart in talking about having it in the lower half of that range.
Well, to be honest with you, we've looked really hard at the community out in north of town, and we would really like to have the kids moved and in school up there. And so for us, we really would like to have this done sooner rather than later.
So
I make sacrifice.
All right, give me your number then.
4.
Yeah, all right.
4 even?
So let's say 4 even. Now, do you not, put it on the market at even numbers? If you
That's fine.
$3.99.
No, that's fine. You can go with a 4.
If we put it at 4, someone's going to come in at $3.90.
Sure they will.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with
maybe
that?
we put it at $4.05.
All right. I think that'd be fine too. You see, you're well within the range, and that's very comfortable.
That's
Okay.
good.
Remember, that's only a 1 or 2% change. Remember we were talking about here that in this graph here, within the first 30 days, there's going to be a 3% change anyway. You're within that 3%.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to, go ahead and you can talk
Well,
405 or
then
407 or 407 if you want to. But pick a number in that range that you're comfortable with.
I think 405.
405.
All right, we'll go with 405. Now you notice the days on the market on these particular properties on here were like 100 and some 135 days, 140. The average days in the market for these particular properties were about 160 days total. That's the average. You're doing the right thing by pricing it lower, but I would like to have a term to market your property that is based on the average data here plus 30 days, if that's all right. And if we're looking at 160 days, average days on the market, may I have a permission to market your property for 160 plus 30, which would be 190 days
Well, I
contract
thought
period.
we were going to be done here.
I hope to be, but I just want to feel comfortable. If I'm going to be spending all this money to market your property, and everything we do, there could be something that happens in the economy.
Sure, I understand.
Bernanke may do something, or the interest rates jump up another notch again like they have been doing, things outside of my control. I'll do everything I can under my control to market the property. But if something outside of my control occurs, then I just want to be protected because of the money I'm spending to market your property. You don't spend a dime if this thing gets closed.
Sure,
Okay.
I understand. We need to commit to you for a certain.
Is that
period of
fair?
time. I think that.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Is 30 days over the average okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
All right, so we'll do it for a term of 109 days. Then.
That's
Great. Okay. Thanks so
We'll
much.
have it done before then. I just know it.
I feel very comfortable that we will too. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about is results, and I hope that as we've gone through this, that you've got at a point that maybe you're willing to hire me to market your property. Are you at that point, or you still want to see somebody else to come in?
Yeah.
You want me to make the call and let the fellows know that
No,
they don't
I'm
need
a
to
big
come?
boy. I can make the call. I'm a firm believer in when you find the right person, you make the decision and you move on
Great.
and you live with it. And
Well, I'd like to go ahead and fill out the marketing agreement now with you, if that's all right. And then after we do that, then I'd like to go ahead and walk the property and make a note of all those things we're going to do to get it staged. And then as soon as it's staged and ready to go, I'll begin the full marketing program. All the brochures will be ready to go. All the stuff that's going to go out to the various things. We'll start planning on the open house that you want to do, and we'll do that as soon after it's staged as we possibly can.
All right.
And if I have a conflict on that date, I will hire somebody to be in that house. If it's not me, and that person will be very professional. I want to be sure that we do what you need to have done when you want to have it done, and it will be done very professionally.
well, we can. I think we can do the staging. I can take some time off work and we can have this done. I'd like to get it done in a week if we can.
Oh.
Great. That's super.
But
All
you're
right.
going to have to help us with what we need.
I'll do everything I possibly can, yes. And here's a little checklist on the action plan, and we'll go through this after we get the agreement signed. And it just shows these are the things we're going to do, and we'll just check them off as you go down the list.
Okay.
And it just gives us a great working list to work from here. And by the way, a few testimonies back here, if you want to see what I've done for other folks, are there for you just at your leisure.
No, we're pretty comfortable. I think we're comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Well, great. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thanks so much for
thank
having
you.
me in. I'm really looking forward to working for you, and I'm excited about this, and I want to get this done as quickly as we possibly
We
can
do.
and get you moved to the other property. And so are you working with anyone on the buyer side?
No, we just.
May I help you with that too?
Well, do you work in that area?
I can, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to
Oh,
bring data to you on that, and as I find what you need, we'll talk about getting a showing and go out, and I'll go with you on the
We've been out
showing.
driving around, and there's some really nice property, but we don't know the details.
Well, I'd love
We
to
haven't
help
been
you with
in,
that. So if that's all right with you all too, I'd love to do that.
Great.
Well, thanks so
Glad to.
much.
Well, I'm glad you came by, Oscar. This is
Thank
really
you.
nice.
Oh, you're welcome.